You had to miss your younger sister Molly's wedding. And this was, I think you knew at the time that your dad wasn't going to be able to make it because he was already getting sick. What do you remember from the letter that you wrote, Molly?
Man, holy cow.
She said she still has it.
Did she really? It's one of the hard things about our profession. There's some things you miss that you normally would never miss. And as a coach now, you try to really be mindful of that. But I'm sure it was very apologetic, very proud of her. Hate that I can't be there. I think it was probably tough for her getting married with my dad being sick. And you want your family to be at the wedding.
I mean, obviously, it's your hard work that has provided for a great life and lifestyle for all those close to you. But flip side of that, how do you see the hours that you have to invest take their toll on family?
There's a lot of great things about the job. And then there are a lot of things that aren't good. It's missing just little things. So it's not the big events, it's just, man, it's the little steps that take place as your children grow. And it's easier now as they're older, but look, that's one of the things that troubles you, when there's like the first steps taken or the first word spoken, or you know what I mean? Those are times where just the hours and the lack of sleep and the amount of time spent, it's a very selfish profession at times, and it takes from you.
Especially with the extraordinary success that you've had, I'd imagine that's a just internal battle at times. How do you reconcile the two?
I don't know that they're, honestly, I think it's still something that I find myself still working on and thinking about, and there's still regrets. There's still...
Like what?
Just how much it can consume you. And it's much more challenging when you're an assistant who you're working for someone, and so I try to be, hopefully, as mindful as that when it comes to a birth, when it comes to a wedding, when it comes to all of those things, that those are important. And I think ultimately it comes up with players all the time, and I think that I think that's one of the things that you try to work on more is finding a better balance, one that can still sustain success, but also at home.
So you thought you were working really hard in college, and then you get to the NFL and realize the demands are so much greater. In what ways?
Well, the immediate change was just getting to a place like Philadelphia, and all of a sudden, you're dealing with pro quarterbacks that have been in the NFL for 3 or 4 years, and a guy like John Gruden and a very talented staff. And you realize that you have to, in order to teach, you have to become, at some point, the expert. And so there was that immediate, that was a step where, man, for a period of about 6 months, you ever seen The Firm?
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of felt like Tom Cruise on The Firm. You're just, every time you went home, you were just lack of sleep, trying to get caught up at work. Megan was being born, she had colic. It was hectic to catch up with everyone else in the room, so that you weren't as one of the young assistants, constantly listening to a language you didn't understand.
How often did you used to sleep at the office?
A lot in New York. A lot in New York at the Meadowlands. There was a perfect couch.
And why?
Well, when you looked at a half an hour home and a half an hour in the morning, that equaled an hour. Do you want 4 hours or 5 hours? It was just
of sleep.
Yeah. In other words, and it happens. It'll happen now. Only we have a sleep room. And so for a coach that's got a half an hour commute both ways on 2 nights of the week, that hour can be important.
What about the schedule makes it that bad that you
Wednesdays and Thursdays are long nights for us, and Can they be more efficient? I suppose, but they're long because there's a lot of things that we can't do prior to those 2 nights that have to get done. And so, look, on a Wednesday night, there might be we're out by 11. That's great, but there have been some 2:30.
And then when does the day start the next day, typically?
6:30, 7. You know, you're prepping for the meetings. So look, this is the assistant coach, and obviously the schedule for the head coach is similar because I'm in those meetings, and yet those guys have a lot of stuff to do when we break the meeting. So we try not to have too many of those. We had too many a year ago.
You did.
Yeah, and yet we've had a lot of success.